The alarm rang through the USS Endeavour like a scream in the night. Jake Carter jumped from his chair on the bridge, his coffee cup falling to the floor with a crash. The red lights flashed across the control panels, painting everything in blood-colored. "Shadows, what do we have?" Captain Lisa Monroe asked as she rushed onto the bridge. Her brown hair was messy from sleep, but her eyes were sharp and ready. "Distress signal from the Kepler system," Jake said, his fingers dancing over the controls. "It's weak, but it's definitely a cry for help." Lisa looked at the screen showing the star map. Kepler 442b was a peaceful world, home to the Volani people. They were crystal beings who had never hurt anyone. They spent their days growing crystal gardens and singing beautiful songs that could be heard across space. "How far?" Lisa asked. 3 days at full speed," said Nick Thompson from his station. He was young, maybe 25, with bright blue eyes that always seemed to see everything. Lisa made her choice quickly. "Change course. Maximum speed." The ship turned toward the Kepler system, its engines roaring to life. The USS Endeavour was not a warship. It was a survey vessel, meant for exploring new worlds and meeting new people. But Lisa could not ignore. A call for help. Dr. Sam Rodriguez came onto the bridge, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He was the ship's doctor and scientist, the one who helped them talk to alien races. "What's happening?" he asked. "Someone needs help," Lisa said simply. 3 days later, they arrived at Kepler 442b. What they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. The beautiful crystal cities that once covered the planet were now broken and burning. Strange, dark ships moved through the sky like metal insects, firing red beams that turned everything to dust. "Oh my God," whispered Amy Foster, the security chief. She was tough as nails, but her voice shook as she spoke. The planet that had once sparkled like a jewel was now covered in smoke and fire. The crystal towers that had reached toward the sky lay in pieces. The gardens where the Volani had grown their food were nothing but craters. "Are there any survivors?" Lisa asked. Jake worked at his controls, scanning the planet below. "I'm picking up life signs underground. They're hiding in caves? And the attackers?" Lisa asked. "Drakari," Amy said, reading from her screen. 57. Ships in orbit. They're hunting the survivors. Lisa had heard of the Drakari before. They were insect-like beings who lived for war and conquest. They moved from world to world, taking what they wanted and destroying everything else. But she had never seen their work up close. "We need to make contact with the survivors," Lisa said. "Sam, can you reach them?" Sam nodded and began working on the communication system. It took him an hour to find the right frequency. When he finally made contact, the voice that came through was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, but filled with sadness. "This is Elder Threnai of the Volani. Voice said. Who are you?" "We're humans," Sam said. "We got your distress call. We're here to help." There was a long pause. Then Elder Threnai spoke again. "Help, but we are already lost. The Dark Ones came from the sky 3 days ago. They kill us for our life crystals. Our beautiful cities are gone. Our people are dying." Sam looked at Lisa. She nodded, telling him to keep talking. "How many of you are left?" Sam asked gently. "Perhaps 10,000, Elder Threnai said. "We were 20 million before the Dark Ones came. They hunt us like animals. They want our crystals to power their war machines." Lisa felt anger rising in her chest. The Volani were peaceful people. They had never hurt anyone. They spent their time making beautiful things and singing songs. Now they were being killed just for the crystals that gave them life. "We're going to help you," Lisa said, taking the communicator from Sam. "I'm Captain Lisa Monroe of the human ship USS Endeavour. We will not let this happen." Elder Thranai's voice became even sadder. You are kind, but you are only one ship. The Dark Ones have many. They are strong, and we are weak. We cannot fight them. Lisa looked around the bridge at her crew. There were 200 humans on the ship, but they were not soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, and explorers. Their ship had some weapons, but nothing like what the Drakari had. But Lisa could not just watch a whole race of people be killed. She would not let it happen. Ben, she called to her engineer. What do we have for weapons? Ben Parker was a big man with rough hands from years of working with machines. He looked at his screen and shook his head. Mining lasers, some missiles. For clearing asteroids, and a few defensive shields. Nothing that can fight a real war. Can you make them into real weapons? Lisa asked. Ben thought for a moment. Maybe. Give me some time. Lisa turned to Amy. How long before the Drakari find the survivors? Amy checked her readings. At their current search pattern, maybe 2 days. 3 at most. And how long before? Earth can send help? Lisa asked Nick. Nick looked sick. 3 months, Captain. The nearest fleet is 3 months away. Lisa closed her eyes. The Valani would all be dead in 3 days. Help would not come for 3 months. Her small survey ship was all that stood between the Drakari and complete genocide. She opened her eyes and looked at her crew. They were all looking at her, waiting for her decision. They were scared, but they trusted her. We're going to fight. Lisa said, I know we're not soldiers. I know we're not ready for war, but we cannot let these people die while we watch. Jake spoke up. Captain, we could all die. Lisa nodded. Yes, we could. But if we run away, the Velani will definitely die. And I won't be able to live with that. One by one, her crew nodded. They were afraid, but they were also human. And humans did not abandon others in their time of need. Ben, start working on those weapons, Lisa ordered. Amy, train the crew for combat. Nick, send a message to Earth. Tell them what's happening here. As her crew rushed to their tasks, Lisa looked at the planet below. Somewhere down there, 10,000 crystal beings were hiding in caves, waiting to die. But now they had hope. USS Endeavour was just one ship against 57. But it was a human ship, and humans never gave up. Ben Parker worked through the night, his hands covered in grease and his eyes red from lack of sleep. Around him, the engineering deck looked like a war zone. Pieces of mining equipment lay scattered across the floor, and sparks flew from welding. Torches as his team tried to turn peaceful tools into weapons. This is crazy, muttered Tom Davis, one of Ben's assistants. He was trying to attach a targeting system to a mining laser. We're scientists, not soldiers. Tell that to the Drakari, Ben said, not looking up from his work. He was modifying the ship's asteroid-clearing missiles, trying to make them more deadly. Those crystal people didn't ask to be soldiers either. On the other side of the ship, Amy Foster was running combat training in the cargo bay. She had moved all the supplies to one side to make room for fighting practice. Most of the crew had never held a weapon before, and it showed. Keep your weapon up, Amy shouted at a young scientist named Pete Johnson. If you drop it like that, you're dead. Pete tried again, but his hands shook as he held the modified tool that was now supposed to be a gun. Amy sighed. These people were brave, but they were not fighters. Still, she had to try. Listen up, Amy called to the group. I know this is scary. I know you didn't sign up for war. But those people down there are counting on us. We're all they have. On the bridge, Lisa stared at the tactical display. The Drakari ships moved around the planet like hungry sharks, searching for the hidden Velani. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the USS Endeavour, with weapons that could destroy a city. Any word from Earth? Lisa asked. Nick shook his head. A message will take 6 weeks to reach them. Even if they send help immediately, it won't get here in time. Lisa felt the weight of command on her shoulders. 200 lives under her care, and 10,000 Villani lives depending on her decisions. She had trained for many things, but not for this. Dr. San Rodriguez came onto the bridge carrying a small, glowing crystal. "I've been working with Elder Threnai," he said. "This is a communication crystal. It will let us talk to the Villani directly." Lisa took the crystal. It was warm to the touch and hummed with a soft, musical sound. "Elder Threnai, can you hear me?" The crystal glowed brighter, and Elder Threnai's voice came through clearly. "Yes, Captain Munro, we can hear you." "We're going to attack the Drakari ships," Lisa said. "But we need your help. Can you tell us about their weaknesses?" "The Dark Ones are strong," Elder Threnai said sadly. "But they think in straight lines. They do not expect enemies to be clever. They believe only in strength." That gave Lisa an idea. What if we don't fight them straight on? What if we use tricks? Tricks? Elder Threnai sounded confused. The Villani were honest people who did not lie or deceive. "Hit and run attacks," Lisa explained. "We attack one ship and run away before the others can help. We make them chase us away from your people. That might work," Elder Threnai said slowly. "But you would need to be very fast and very brave." Lisa smiled grimly. "We're human. We're both." The next morning, the USS Endeavour moved closer to the Drakari fleet. Lisa had chosen their target carefully, a smaller ship that was separated from the others, hunting for Villani survivors on the planet's surface. "All hands to battle stations," Lisa announced over the ship's speakers. "This is not a drill." The crew took their positions, fear and determination mixing in their hearts. In engineering, Ben had managed to triple the power of their mining lasers. In the cargo bay, Amy and her makeshift soldiers waited with their modified weapons. The Drakari ship was called the Deathbringer. It was black and sharp, like a giant insect made of metal. Red lights glowed along its sides, and weapon ports opened as it detected the approaching human ship. "They're hailing us," Nick reported. "Put them on screen," Lisa ordered. The view screen filled with the image of a Drakari commander. It looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a spider, with multiple eyes and sharp claws. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding metal. "Unknown vessel, you are in Drakari space. Leave now or be destroyed." Lisa stood up straight. "This is Captain Lisa Munro of the USS Endeavour. You are committing genocide against innocent people. We demand that you stop." The Drakari commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans, we have heard of your weak species. You care too much about others. It makes you soft. You're about to learn how wrong you are," Lisa said. The communication ended, and the Deathbringer opened fire. Red beams lanced through space toward the USS Endeavour. Lisa's ship was smaller and faster, dodging most of the shots. The ones that hit were absorbed by their shields. "Return fire," Lisa ordered. Ben's modified mining lasers struck the Drakari ship's hull. The beams that were meant to cut through asteroids tore into the alien metal like paper. The Deathbringer's commander had not expected such power from a survey ship. "We hurt them," Jake reported with surprise in his voice. "Hit them again," Lisa said. The second volley struck the Deathbringer's weapon systems. Explosions bloomed along its hull, and the ship began to drift, damaged but not destroyed. "More Drakari ships coming," Amy reported from her post. 5 of them, moving fast. Lisa had expected this. "Full speed ahead. Take us into the asteroid field." The USS Endeavour raced away from the planet, with 5 angry Drakari ships chasing behind. The asteroids that floated in space around the Kepler system had once been the Villani's greatest protection. Now they would protect the humans. They're gaining on us, Nick said. I'm counting on it, Lisa replied. The human ship dove between the asteroids, using its smaller size to slip through gaps that the bigger Drokari ships could not follow. But the enemy had long-range weapons, and they were not afraid to use them. Red beams filled the space around the USS Endeavour. Some struck asteroids, turning them into deadly fragments. Others came dangerously close to the human ship. We can't keep this up forever, Jake warned. Lisa watched the tactical display, waiting for the right moment. The Drokari ships were getting closer, but they were also getting more spread out as they tried to surround the humans. Now, Lisa said quietly, the USS Endeavour suddenly turned around, facing the closest Drokari ship. All of Ben's weapons fired at once, striking the enemy. At point-blank range, the Drokari ship exploded in a ball of fire, its pieces scattering among the asteroids. One down, Amy shouted, but the other 4 were still coming. Lisa's ship was faster, but the Drokari had better weapons and stronger shields. In a long fight, the humans would lose. Captain, Dr. Rodriguez said over the communication system, Elder Threnai says they can help. How? The Velani can make their crystals sing at a frequency that hurts the Drokari. It won't kill them, but it will confuse them and make them sick. Lisa made her decision quickly. Do it. Deep in the caves below, the surviving Velani joined their voices together. Their crystal bodies began to glow, and their song rose up through the planet's crust and into space. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, a sound of pure sorrow and rage. The Drokari ships suddenly began to wobble in their flight. The insect-like aliens inside were clutching their heads in pain, their complex eyes unable to focus properly. It's working, Jake said with wonder. They're disoriented. Lisa pressed her advantage. All weapons fire at will. The USS Endeavour struck like a snake, hitting the confused Drokari ships before they could recover. 2 more enemy vessels were destroyed, their hulls torn apart by the modified mining lasers. The remaining 2 Drokari ships retreated, limping back toward their fleet. The humans had won their first battle, but Lisa knew it was just the beginning. Damage. Report, she called. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7, Ben reported. Weapons are at 60% power. We can fix most of it, but we need time. Casualties? Amy's voice was quiet. 6 wounded, 2 dead, Dr. Martinez and Engineer Collins. Lisa closed her eyes. 2 good people, dead because she had chosen to fight. But if they had not fought, 10,000 Velani would have died instead. We hurt them, Jake said, trying to sound hopeful. They know we're here now. Yes, Lisa said. Now they'll come for us with everything they have. Through the communication crystal, Elder Threnai's voice came softly. Captain Monroe, you have given us hope. For the first time in days, we believe we might survive. Lisa looked at her crew. They were tired, scared, and some were hurt. But they were also proud. They had stood up to monsters and won. They had shown that humans would not abandon others in their time of need. We're not done yet, Lisa said. The real fight is just beginning. The Drokari fleet gathered like a storm cloud above the planet. Admiral Krennic, the leader of the insect warriors, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Void Ripper. His multiple eyes burned with anger as he stared at the small human ship. That had dared to challenge him. 54 ships, he clicked to his second-in-command. 54 ships against 1. And they destroyed 3 of ours. The humans fight strangely, the other Drokari replied. They do not follow proper battle rules. They trick us. Krennic's claws scraped against the metal floor. Then we will show them what happens when insects try to sting the swarm. Prepare all ships for attack. On the USS Endeavour, Lisa watched the enemy fleet organize itself. She knew what was coming. The Drakari would not make the same mistakes again. This time, they would come with everything they had. "How long do we have?" Lisa asked. 2 hours, Jake replied. "Maybe less." Ben Parker wiped sweat from his forehead. He had been working non-stop to repair the ship's weapons, but they were still not at full power. "I need more time, Captain. The mining lasers are overheating, and we're running out of missiles." Lisa looked at her crew. They were exhausted, but they had not given up. That was the human way, to keep fighting even when things looked impossible. "What about the Villani?" Lisa asked Sam. "Can they help us fight?" Sam shook his head. "They're not warriors, Captain. They're artists and farmers. Their crystal song can confuse the Drakari, but it can't destroy their ships." Lisa thought for a moment. "But their crystals have power, right? The Drakari want them for their energy." "Yes," Sam said slowly. "The life crystals contain enormous amounts of energy. But using them would mean ... It would mean we die," came Elder Three-Eye's voice through the communication crystal. "To release the energy, a Villani must give up their life force." Lisa felt sick. She could not ask anyone to die for her plan. But before she could speak, Elder Three-Eye continued, "But if it would save our people, some of us would be willing to make that sacrifice." "No," Lisa said firmly. "We'll find another way." The hours passed quickly. Ben worked frantically to repair the weapons, while Amy prepared the crew for a battle they probably could not win. Some of the crew members were scared, but none of them asked to surrender. Grace Williams, the ship's best pilot, came to Lisa with a plan. Grace was young, maybe 23, with short blonde hair and steady hands. She had flown shuttles through asteroid fields and solar storms without fear. "Captain," Grace said, "I have an idea. What if we use the shuttles as weapons?" Lisa looked at her. "What do you mean?" "The shuttles are small and fast. The Drakari might not notice them until it's too late. If we load them with explosives and ram them into their ships ... That's suicide," Lisa said. Grace shrugged. "Maybe, but it might also work." Lisa was about to say no when the alarm started ringing. The Drakari fleet was moving, all 54 ships heading toward the USS Endeavour like a wall of death. "All hands to battle stations," Lisa announced. "This is it." The first wave of Drakari ships came in fast, firing their red beams in perfect formation. The USS Endeavour twisted and turned, trying to avoid the deadly light, but there were too many enemies. The ship's shields flared and sparked as they absorbed hit after hit. "Shields at 40%, Jake reported. "Return fire," Lisa ordered. Ben's modified weapons struck back, but the Drakari had learned. They spread out, making it harder for the humans to hit them, and there were so many of them. For every beam the USS Endeavour fired, 10 came back. "Hull breach on Deck 5, Amy reported. "Emergency teams responding." The battle was turning against them. Lisa could see it in the way her crew moved, the way their voices got quieter. They were still fighting, but they were starting to lose hope. Then Grace Williams made her choice. "Captain," Grace said over the communication system, "I'm taking Shuttle Bay 2. Tell my mom I love her." Before Lisa could stop her, Grace launched her shuttle straight at the nearest Drakari ship. The small craft was loaded with every explosive they had on board. The Drakari tried to shoot it down, but Grace was too good a pilot. She dodged their fire and slammed into the enemy ship's bridge. The explosion lit up space like a new star. The Drakari ship broke apart, its pieces spinning away into the darkness. Grace Williams was gone, but she had taken 50 enemy warriors with her. "Grace!" Lisa shouted, but there was no answer. The crew of the USS Endeavour felt Grace's death, like a physical blow. But instead of breaking them, it made them stronger. If Grace could give her life for strangers, they could do the same. "For Grace," someone shouted. For grace, the crew shouted back. The battle became fiercer. The humans fought like they had never fought before, using every trick they could think of. They fired at the Drakari ships and then hid behind asteroids. They used their ship's smaller size to slip between enemy vessels, causing them to accidentally shoot each other. Dr. Rodriguez worked with Elder Threnai to create a new plan. What if we don't use the life crystals as weapons? He suggested. What if we use them to boost our own power? That ... That might work, Elder Threnai said, but it would still require some of us to sacrifice our life force. I'll do it, came another Velani voice. It was Zara, a young crystal being who had lost her family in the first attack. My song is strong. I can give you power. Zara, no, Elder Threnai said. Yes, Zara replied. The humans are dying for us. I can do the same. For them. Deep in the caves, Zara began to sing. Her crystal body glowed brighter and brighter as she poured her life force into the energy beam that traveled up to the USS Endeavour. The ship's weapons suddenly became twice as powerful, cutting through Drakari shields like they were made of paper. What's happening? Ben asked as his instruments showed impossible readings. The Velani are helping us, Sam said quietly. They're giving us their life force. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. These peaceful people who had never hurt anyone were dying to give her ship more power. It was not right. It was not fair, but it was working. The USS Endeavour struck back at the Drakari fleet with new fury. Ship after ship exploded under the boosted weapons. The human crew fought with the strength of both their own species and the Velani who had sacrificed for them. But even with the extra power, they were still outnumbered. The Drakari kept coming, and the USS Endeavour was taking more damage than it could handle. Shields are gone, Jake reported. We're taking direct hits to the hull. Life support is failing on decks 6 and 7, Ben added. Lisa looked at the tactical display. They had destroyed 15 Drakari ships, but 39 were still fighting. Her ship was dying, her crew was dying, and she was running out of options. Then something impossible happened. New ships appeared at the edge of the system. Not human ships, but alien ones. The Altarians had come, bringing their energy weapons. Behind them came the Zentari with their powerful shields. And behind them, the Corvin brought their advanced computers. This is Captain Vex of the Altarian. Ship Star Dancer, came a voice over the communication system. We heard what the humans were doing. We could not let you fight alone. Lisa could not believe it. Word of their battle had somehow spread across space, and other alien races had come to help. She was not sure how it was possible, but she did not care. Thank you, she said simply. No, Captain Vex replied. Thank you. You showed us that some things are worth fighting for. The new ships joined the battle, and suddenly the odds were not so bad. The Drakari, who had been winning, now found themselves facing a combined fleet of angry aliens who would not let genocide happen. Admiral Krennic screamed orders at his ships, but it was too late. The alliance was too strong, and their cause was just one by one. The Drakari ships were destroyed or forced to retreat, but Krennic was not finished. In his rage, he turned his flagship toward the planet below. If he could not have the Velani crystals, he would make sure no one could. He's going to destroy the planet, Jake said. Lisa looked at her damaged ship. The USS Endeavour was barely holding together, but it was still flying. And sometimes that was enough. Set a collision course, she ordered. Captain, Amy said, we can't survive that. Lisa smiled. I know. But the Velani will. The USS Endeavour, battered and burning, raced toward the Drakari flagship. It was the human way, to sacrifice everything for others, even strangers. Even when no one would remember their names. But sometimes the universe surprises you. At the last moment, Ben managed to get the transporter working. The crew vanished from the bridge just as their ship slammed into the Void Ripper. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the sky. Admiral Krennic was dead, and his fleet was broken. The genocide was over. The USS Endeavour was gone, but her crew was safe. They had saved a world and started something new, an alliance of species who would never again let evil win without a fight. And in the caves below, the surviving Vellani sang a new song. It was a song of hope, of friendship, and of the humans who had come when all seemed lost. The explosion of the USS Endeavour and the Drakari flagship lit up the sky like a dying star. Lisa Monroe and her crew materialized on the deck of the Altarian ship Star Dancer, their bodies flickering as the emergency transporter completed its work. They were alive, but barely. "Medical teams to the transporter room," Captain Vex called out. The Altarian was tall and thin, with blue skin and large golden eyes. His people were known for their peaceful nature, but today they had come to fight. Lisa tried to stand, but her legs would not hold her. The battle had taken everything from her crew. They had lost their ship, their home among the stars, but they had saved the Vellani people. "The Drakari fleet?" Lisa asked weakly. "Retreating," Captain Vex replied. "Without their admiral, they have no one to give orders. But we have a problem." Lisa looked up at him. "What now?" "Our long-range sensors show more Drakari ships coming. A lot more. Admiral Krennic was just the first wave." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been helping the injured crew members, looked up from his work. "How many?" "Over 200 ships," Captain Vex said grimly. "They will arrive in 6 hours." Lisa felt her heart sink. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. The Drakari Empire was huge, and they did not like to lose. They would send everything they had to destroy the alliance that had dared to stop them. "We need to evacuate the planet," Lisa said. "Get the Vellani to safety?" "Where?" asked Captain Sen of the Zentari ship. She was short and stocky, with gray skin and 4 arms. "The Drakari will hunt them across the galaxy." Before anyone could answer, Elder Threnai's voice came through the communication crystal. "Captain Monroe, are you alive?" "Yes," Lisa said, taking the crystal from Sam. "But we have bad news." She told Elder Threnai about the coming Drakari fleet. There was a long silence before the Vellani leader spoke again. "Then we must make our final stand here," Elder Threnai said. "This is our world. We will not run from it. You'll all die." Lisa said. "Perhaps," Elder Threnai replied. "But we will die as free people, not as slaves. And we will not die alone." Down on the planet, the surviving Vellani were gathering in the ruins of their greatest city. Only 8,000 of them remained, but they were no longer hiding in caves. They stood together in the open, their crystal bodies glowing with determination. Alliance fleet was small compared to what was coming. Besides the Star Dancer, there were 12 other ships from different races. Each one had come because they believed in what the humans had started, that no one should face evil alone. "We can't win," Jake said quietly. He was sitting in the Star Dancer's medical bay, his arm in a cast from the battle. 200 ships against 13. The math doesn't work. "Since when do humans care about math?" Amy Foster asked. She was cleaning her weapon, getting ready for another fight. "We didn't care about it when we took on 57 ships with one." Lisa looked at her crew. They were tired, hurt, and sad about losing their ship, but they were not giving up. That was what made them human. "We need a plan," Lisa said. "Something the Drakari won't expect." Ben Parker, who had been working on the alien ship systems, looked up from his work. "I've been studying the Drakari technology recaptured. They're strong, but they're not smart. They think the same way about everything. What do you mean? Lisa asked. They attack in straight lines. They follow orders without thinking. They believe that bigger is always better. Ben smiled. But what if we turn that against them? Lisa listened as Ben explained his idea. It was crazy, dangerous, and would probably get them all killed. But it might also work. Do it, Lisa said. The next few hours were busy. The Alliance ships worked together to prepare for the coming battle. The Altarians shared their energy weapons. The Centauri provided shield technology, and the Corvin gave them advanced computers. The humans provided something else, the will to never give up. On the planet below, the Vellani were preparing too. Elder Thranai had made a difficult decision. The remaining life crystals, the ones that held the power of their dead people, would be used as weapons. It was against everything they believed in, but they had learned from the humans that sometimes you had to fight for what was right. The crystals are ready, Elder Thranai reported. We can create a resonance wave that will disrupt their ship's electronics. But it will use up all our remaining power. Save it for the right moment, Lisa said. We'll only get one chance. The Drakari fleet arrived exactly when predicted. 200 ships, each one bigger and stronger than anything the Alliance had. They moved in perfect formation, like a swarm of metal insects, ready to devour everything in their path. This is supreme. Commander Zagath of the Drakari Empire came a voice over the communication system. You will surrender now, or we will destroy every living thing in this system. Lisa took the communicator. This is Captain Lisa Monroe of Earth. We will not surrender. We will not run. And we will not let you commit genocide. Zagath made a sound like grinding metal. Foolish humans, you cannot stop the swarm. We are inevitable. We'll see about that, Lisa replied. The battle began immediately. The Drakari ships opened fire with everything they had, filling space with red beams of death. The Alliance ships scattered, using their smaller size and speed to avoid the worst of the attack. But even with their clever tactics, the Alliance was taking heavy damage. The Centauri ship Golden Shield lost its engines and began to drift. The Corvin vessel data stream had its computers knocked out by an electromagnetic pulse. We're losing, Captain Vex reported. We can't take much more of this. Lisa watched the battle unfold on the tactical display. The Drakari were winning, just as everyone had expected. But she was not ready to give up yet. Phase 2, she ordered. The Alliance ships suddenly stopped running. Instead, they formed a tight formation around the planet, as if they were going to make a final stand. The Drakari took the bait, closing in for the kill. Now, Lisa said, the Vellani on the planet began to sing. Their voices joined together in a harmony that could be heard across space. The remaining life crystals began to glow, and a wave of energy pulsed outward from the planet. The resonance wave hit the Drakari fleet like an invisible hammer. The insect warriors inside their ships screamed in pain as their sensitive hearing was overwhelmed by the crystal song. Their computers sparked and failed, their weapons stopped working, and their ships began to drift helplessly in space. It's working, Jake shouted. Their fleet is disabled. But the effect would not last long. Already, some of the Drakari ships were getting their systems back online. The Alliance had maybe 10 minutes before the enemy would be ready to fight again. All ships attack now, Lisa ordered. The Alliance fleet struck like lightning. There. Weapons tore into the disabled Drakari ships, destroying dozens before the enemy could respond. But 200 ships was still too many, and the Drakari were starting to recover. Supreme Commander Zagath was furious. His flagship, the Death Lord, had been damaged by the resonance wave, but it was still operational. He ordered his remaining ships to focus all their fire on the planet below. If we cannot have the crystals, no one can, he snarled. The planet-killer beams lanced down from orbit, turning the crystal cities into vapor. The beautiful world that had been the Vellani home for thousands of years began to die. "They're destroying everything," Sam said in horror. Lisa made a decision that would haunt her forever. All ships ram their flagship. Stop them from killing the planet. "Captain," Amy said, "that's suicide." "I know," Lisa replied, "but it's the only way." One by one, the Alliance ships turned toward the Death Lord. They knew they were going to die, but they also knew that some things were worth dying for. Altarian Star Dancer went first, its captain singing a battle song as his ship struck the Drakari flagship's shields. The explosion was massive, but the Death Lord's shields held. The Zentari ship Golden Shield was next, followed by the Korvan. Data stream. Each impact weakened the enemy shields a little more, but it was not enough. "We need more power," Ben said. He was working frantically at the alien computer systems, trying to find a way to break through the Death Lord's defenses. "What about the Vellani crystals?" Sam suggested. "Could we use them to boost our weapons?" "That would kill every Vellani." "On the planet," Lisa said. "Not every Vellani," came Elder Threnai's voice through the communication crystal. "Some of us are already dying from the planet-killer beams. Let us use our last moments to save our people." Lisa wanted to say no, but she could see the tactical display. The Death Lord was charging its main weapon for a final shot that would crack the planet in half. If they did not stop it now, everyone would die anyway. "Do it," Lisa whispered Dot on the planet below. Elder Threnai and 50 other Vellani stood in the center of their ruined city. They joined their voices in one last song, pouring their life essence into a beam of pure energy that shot up toward the last Alliance ship. The remaining vessel, a small human rescue craft called the Hope, suddenly blazed with power. Its tiny weapons became as strong as those on a battleship. Lisa, who was now commanding the Hope from the Star Dancer's bridge through remote control, aimed carefully and fired. The beam struck the Death Lord's bridge, cutting through its shields like they were made of paper. Supreme Commander Zagath had just enough time to realize he had been beaten by the species he thought was weak before his. 6 months after the battle, Lisa Monroe stood on the bridge of a new ship. The USS Endeavour II was bigger than the old one, built with technology shared by all the races of the new Alliance. Its hull gleamed silver and blue, and its weapons were powerful enough to make any enemy think twice about attacking innocent people. But Lisa hoped they would never have to use those weapons. "Captain," Jake called from his station. "We're getting a message from New Vellani." Lisa smiled. New Vellani was the colony world where the surviving crystal people had made their new home. It was not as beautiful as their old planet, but it was safe, and the Vellani were learning to be happy there again. "Put Elder Threnai through," Lisa said. The communication crystal on the bridge began to glow, and Elder Threnai's gentle voice filled the air. "Captain Monroe, we have wonderful news. The first new crystal gardens are blooming. Our children are singing again." Lisa felt warmth in her heart. The Vellani children had not sung since the massacre. To hear that they were making music again meant that the healing had finally begun. "That's wonderful," Lisa said. "How can we help?" "You have done enough," Elder Threnai replied, "but there is something we want to give you. A gift for all the races of the Alliance." On the main screen, an image appeared. It was a massive crystal structure, taller than a mountain and more beautiful than anything Lisa had ever seen. It pulsed with gentle light, and even through the screen she could hear its soft musical hum. "What is it?" Lisa asked. "A memory crystal," Elder Threnai explained. "It contains the songs and stories of all our people who died in the war. Grace Williams is remembered there, along with all the others who gave their lives for us. As long as this crystal exists, Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. Grace had been so young, so full of life. She had died saving people she had never met, and now her memory would live forever in Crystal Song. "Thank you," Lisa whispered. The communication ended, and Lisa stood quietly for a moment. Around her, the bridge crew worked at their stations. Many of them were survivors from the old USS Endeavour, but some were new faces, Altarians, Centauri, Corvan, and even a few humans from other ships who had asked to join the Alliance fleet. Doctor Rodriguez came onto the bridge carrying a datapad. His hair was grayer now, and there were lines around his eyes that had not been there before the war. But he still smiled when he saw Lisa. "The latest reports from Earth," he said, handing her the pad. Lisa read quickly. The news was good. Earth had been amazed by what their small survey ship had accomplished. The story of the USS Endeavour's stand against the Drakkari had spread across human space, inspiring others to join the new Galactic Defense Alliance. "How many ships now?" Lisa asked. 237, Sam replied. "From 43 different races, all dedicated to protecting innocent people from aggressors." Lisa nodded. It was more than she had ever dreamed possible. When they had first arrived at Kepler 442b, she had just wanted to save one world. Now they had started something that might save the entire galaxy. Ben Parker's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, we're ready to jump to hyperspace whenever you give the word." "Where are we going?" asked Amy Foster. She was now the first officer of the new ship, having been promoted after the battle. The scars on her left arm were a reminder of the fighting, but she wore them proudly. Lisa looked at the star chart on the main screen. There were so many worlds out there, so many people who might need help. The Drakkari Empire was broken, but not destroyed, and there were other threats in the galaxy. Pirates, slavers, and worse things that preyed on the weak. But there were also friends now. The Alliance grew stronger every day, as more races joined the cause of protecting others. "Captain," Nick Thompson called from his station, "we're getting a distress call." Lisa's heart jumped. "From where?" "The Arcturus system." "It's the Million people. They say they're under attack by something called the Shadow Fleet." Lisa had never heard of the Millions or the Shadow Fleet, but it did not matter. Someone was in trouble, and that was enough. How long to get there? She asked. 4 days at maximum speed, Nick replied. Lisa looked around the bridge at her crew. They were ready to go, just as she knew they would be. That was what the Alliance was about, being ready to help, no matter who needed it or how far away they were. "Set course for Arcturus," Lisa ordered. "Maximum speed." As the USS Endeavour II jumped into hyperspace, racing toward another world in need, Lisa thought about how much had changed. A year ago, she had been the captain of a simple survey ship, exploring new worlds and meeting new people. Now she was the leader of a galactic alliance, responsible for protecting billions of lives. It was a heavy burden, but she did not carry it alone. All across the galaxy, Alliance ships were patrolling trade routes, protecting colonies, and standing ready to help anyone who called for aid. The Alliance charter was simple. No species would ever again face genocide while others had the power to help. "Captain," Jake said, "I'm picking up more ships on long-range sensors. Alliance vessels, heading for Arcturus from different directions." Lisa smiled. They would not be fighting alone this time. The galaxy had learned the lesson that humanity had taught at Kepler 442b, that when good people stood together, evil could not win. 3 days later, they arrived at Arcturus to find a battle already in progress. The Shadow Fleet was there. All right, strange black ships that seemed to absorb light and move like ghosts through space. They were attacking the peaceful Million colonies, stealing their children for reasons no one understood. But they were not fighting just the millions. 12 Alliance ships had arrived first and were already engaging the enemy. The USS Endeavour II and her escort fleet jumped in to join the battle. "This is Captain Lisa Monroe of the Galactic Defense Alliance," Lisa announced over all frequencies. "Shadow Fleet vessels, you will cease your attacks on innocent civilians and withdraw immediately." The only answer was weapons fired out. Lisa sighed. Some enemies could be reasoned with, but others only understood force. "All ships, protect the civilians. Show them what happens when you threaten the innocent." The battle was fierce, but short. The Shadow Fleet was strong, but they had never faced anything like the Alliance before. Ships from dozens of different races fought together with perfect coordination, each one bringing their own strengths to the fight. The Altarians provided long-range firepower. The Zentari created defensive barriers. The Corvin tracked every enemy movement, and the humans did what humans did best. They refused to give up, no matter how bad things got. It was over. The Shadow Fleet was either destroyed or fleeing. The million children were safe, and another world had been protected. "Thank you," said Premier Jonnet of the Millions. She was a tall, elegant being with silver skin and forearms. "We had heard stories of the Alliance, but we did not believe them. How can so many different races work together?" Lisa thought about the question. It was not an easy thing to explain. Different species had different cultures, different ways of thinking, different needs and wants. But somehow they had found a way to work together. "Because we all believe in the same thing," Lisa said finally. "We believe that everyone deserves to be safe. We believe that evil should not be allowed to win. And we believe that no one should have to face darkness alone." Premier Jonnet nodded slowly. "Then we would like to join this alliance of yours. Our ships are not strong, but our hearts are willing." "That's all we ask," Lisa replied. That night, as the USS Endeavour II orbited the view. Rescued world, Lisa stood in her quarters looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the memorial crystal on New Velani was singing its eternal song, remembering all those who had died for others. Grace Williams was in that song, along with the Velani who had sacrificed their lives to power the human weapons. Admiral Krennic was not remembered there. Only those who had died for love, not hate. Lisa touched the communication crystal on her desk. "Elder Threnai, are you there?" "Always, my friend," came the gentle reply. "How goes the fight?" "We saved another world today," Lisa said. "The millions want to join the Alliance. That is good. Every voice makes the song stronger." Lisa smiled. The Velani still spoke in metaphors about music and harmony, but she understood what Elder Threnai meant. The Alliance was like a song, with each member race adding their own voice to create something beautiful and strong. "Elder Threnai," Lisa said, "do you think we're making a difference?" There was a pause before the Velani leader answered. "Captain Monroe, when the Drakari came to our world, we thought it was the end of everything. We believed that evil had won, and there was no hope left in the universe." "But you were wrong," Lisa said. "Yes, we were wrong because we forgot something important. We forgot that there are always people willing to stand up for what is right. We forgot about humans." Lisa felt a warm feeling in her chest. "We're not special, Elder Threnai. Anyone would have done the same thing." "No," Elder Threnai said gently. "Not anyone. But humans always do. That is what makes you special. You see someone in trouble, and you help. You see evil winning, and you fight. You see darkness, and you bring light." "We can't save everyone," Lisa said. "No," Elder Threnai agreed. "But you try. And in trying, you inspire others to try as well. The Alliance exists because humans showed us that it was possible.